Hey guys, welcome to this edition of Let's Be Blunt with Montel. And my guest today is the founder of the Cannabis Equity Policy Council and the CEO of Cadre. Cadre is a visionary social equity brand that actively advocates for equitable opportunities across the cannabis industry, offering exceptional cannabis products while uplifting marginalized communities. The Cannabis Equity Policy Council is a 501c4 nonprofit made up of cannabis equity partners and entrepreneurs and social justice nonprofit organizations unified to collectively address the gap in funding, educational resources, and legislation advocacy for cannabis equity policy. Madison Shockley, thank you so much for being a participant in today's Let's Be Blunt with Montel.
Yeah, thank you, Montel, for having me on. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you.
Absolutely, sir. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you went to school?
Sure. I grew up in West LA, mid-city. My family has been here for a generation or two before me. And, just a LA kid who went to all the LA schools, John Burroughs, went to Dorsey High School and played football. And then my parents moved down to San Diego, Carlsbad to be specific, my senior year of high school. And so I've been back and forth from LA and San Diego since my late teenage years.
What did you do before you chose cannabis as the direction you wanted to go in?
Sure. I was working in the tech space and in the entertainment space before I got into cannabis. Early in my career, I worked on a project called The Misadventures of Awkward Black Girl, which was spun off into an HBO series called Insecure. And my role on the Awkward Black Girl series was I played a star actor in the show as a love interest to the main character in the show, but I also worked behind the scenes on the production of the show, as well as like the business development of that independent television show.
What prompted you to walk away from that and to get started in the cannabis?
I continued in entertainment for years after that, behind the scenes as a producer and a music executive. I worked for a boutique publishing company, and we licensed a lot of music to film and television. But I got into the tech space through working on that project because we started that project on YouTube. And we used Facebook to market the project. I was the marketing director for the show in the early days. And so I did things like created the Facebook page for Awkward Black Girl, which grew from 0 to hundreds of thousands of followers. And same thing with the Twitter page. And those became our microphones. And we really innovated like how you use social media to market a television show. And through that, I made a lot of connections at those companies, at Google, which bought YouTube, at places like Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of the Black tech executives at those companies were huge fans of our project and our work. And so, we got invited to Google and spoke to the Black Googler network there, a couple hundred Black employees at Google. And so that brought me into the tech world in like a real physical way, and from there, I really kind of mixed my skill set in entertainment and in tech and business development. And so it's those skill sets that I have brought to the cannabis industry.
But I mean, what you woke up one morning and said, I think I'm going to get into cannabis? I mean, how did that come about?
No,
Had you already been a cannabis enthusiast yourself?
Definitely since I was a teenager, and it's always been a big part of my life. And I used to get in a lot of trouble and catch a lot of flack for how much I loved and enjoyed cannabis being a part of my life. And as I got arrested for selling weed when I was 18 years old down in San Diego. And it was that arrest that then qualified me for the social equity program back in 2019, when, you know the law as well. Recreational cannabis became legal, I think, back in 2016, 2017. And then from there, different municipalities started creating their cannabis regulation programs. And many have included social equity programs, which are designed to prioritize people who have been victims of the war on drugs and prioritize them in getting commercial licensing. So when I learned about those programs, I had been arrested, so I qualified for social equity on that front. I was low income. I grew up in a zip code that was disproportionately impacted by the war on drugs, all the above. And when I learned I qualified for LA's program, I really went for it to start building my cannabis company.
And then that ended up becoming Cadre. Tell me a little bit about Cadre.
Yeah, so Cadre, I started after back in 2020 when I after filing a lawsuit and settling a lawsuit with the city of LA. The first round of social equity licensing was a big mess. It was mismanaged by the city and the Department of Cannabis Regulation in LA. And I was a social equity participant in that program and had, spent a lot of resources pursuing getting a dispensary license just to be a part of an unfair process. And so I decided to lead a lawsuit and start a nonprofit called the Social Equity Owners and Workers Association, and essentially created this association of equity entrepreneurs and recruited them by saying, "Hey, be a part of this lawsuit against the city because we were unfairly treated in this process." And so, several hundred other equity entrepreneurs joined in with me, and we raised the money to file and pursue the lawsuit. And after a few months of litigation, the LA City Council came to the table to negotiate a settlement. And that settlement created 100 additional social equity retail licenses in LA. And of which one of them is the license that I got and opened my recent dispensary with.
Okay, and then that organization ended up folding into or becoming the Cannabis Equity Policy Council. Who
So
made
yeah,
right?
so later I started the Cannabis Equity Policy Council, which Social Equity Owners and Workers Association is a member organization of, and there's other member organizations like the UCA in Sacramento, LBCCC in Long Beach. We got an organization in San Diego and San Francisco. We're all over the state. Equity advocacy organizations and entrepreneurs coming together under one umbrella to really have a voice in policy at the state level. Uh, we hired a lobbyist last year and helped establish our foothold in the Capitol and in terms of having a say on all sorts of policies that relate to cannabis and have an impact on our social equity uh, interest, and so since then, we've been able to achieve quite a bit. Last year, we helped lead a successful fight to lower the excise tax, the state excise tax for social equity retailers. Right now, as everybody knows, the taxes in the commercial industry are, extraordinary. They're taxes on taxes on taxes. And so we were able to pass a bill that the governor signed uh, where our tax rate was reduced by 20%. So the state excise tax is 15%. But for social equity retails whose revenue is under $5 million, they'll get a rebate and making their percentage effectively 12% instead of 15%. And that's a 20% difference in the aggregate. So that's one of the things we're really proud of being able to achieve and really doing it on our own, not having huge, corporate backers doing it for us, but really taking our voice and power in our own hands and working on changing the legislation because I believe that's where everything starts, and that's what dictates what how the wealth in our society is divvied up ultimately. And so if we're losing on the legislative front and how the laws are set up, then we're losing over and over again after that. But if we can get that right and we can have it set up in a way that is equitable for everybody, then everybody can win.
Now, you just do advocacy at the state level, or do you do it at the national level?
We are going to move to the national level, but we have been focusing at the local and state level in our first couple years, just getting our footing. But this year we plan to expand and take a trip to DC and start lobbying in the capital, the national capital as well.
You recently opened up your first dispensary in LA in partnership with Off the Charts. How's that structured and how's that working out?
Yeah, it's working out fantastic. Really blessed to be in this business situation. I discovered the dispensary chain Off the Charts about 3 years ago when they only had one location down in San Diego, and now they've expanded to 14 locations, including mine. And my store is the first collaboration store with Off the Charts. So it's a collaboration between them and my brand Cadre. So it's Off the Charts powered by Cadre, and it's been great because it's allowed me to have the operations know-how and the just all the standard operating procedures in place from day one, from a operator that has been extraordinarily successful in a really difficult market. And so to have that kind of backing for a dispensary, which is extremely capital intensive, a lot of moving parts, a lot of regulation, to have that support from a successful operator for my store has been fantastic.
Super. Now, how can the industry better support social equity and social justice programs across the board? How can this entire industry do a better job than they're doing? Because they're not doing a great job.
Yeah, that's a great question, and there's a lot of ways. I think my partnership with Off the Charts being an example of that. Offering to genuinely partner with equity entrepreneurs, and providing resources and capital, also providing the know-how of operations, but at the same time giving a equitable deal in that process and allowing the equity partner to bring their value to the table, to bring their relationships with their community, their knowledge of the plant and the business that they have, and combining that with maybe some of the more sophisticated financial backgrounds that's needed at this level of business.
Absolutely. Well, now, clearly you probably have some thoughts about what's going on at the federal level. I mean, what's your view of rescheduling or descheduling, and how do you think a change at the federal level will impact social equity across the country?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. There's so much to kind of dissect, and I'm still learning and understanding what descheduling to different levels would mean. I don't think.
Well, I mean, descheduling would be just completely take it out of the scheduling world. Rescheduling at
Yes.
different levels would be the one that I think people are be careful what you look for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it should be descheduled. But I think the conversation right now has really been around like rescheduling to Schedule 3 because the Biden administration has put out, some analysis about, how it should be rescheduled. And I don't know exactly what rescheduling from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3
Or
would mean,
Schedule 2. All right.
or Schedule 2. But I think descheduling is really what we should be pushing for, because it's a natural plant. When I look at what the different schedules mean and you apply it to this plant, it doesn't really make sense that it should be scheduled. And it makes an impact on social equity because one of the things is the taxes again. If it's Schedule 1, It's under 280E, so you can't write off business expenses for a business that's around a Schedule One drug. I think descheduling would eliminate that. Rescheduling to Schedule 3 might eliminate that 280E tax issue, but then it also could change a lot of other things around how the plant is distributed and manufactured and all these other things. So it's really complicated. And at the end of the day, social equity businesses need to be able to operate in a business environment where we can thrive and make money. The whole point is to use this business to help close the wealth gap, in my opinion. And if all the money that we're working for in this industry then has to be handed over to the government for taxes, and then those taxes go back mainly to law enforcement and other things that have historically oppressed us, I don't see the equity in that.
And they go back to law enforcement that continues to oppress. Because even
Yes,
in states where it's recreational or even legal medical use, there's oppression.
that's right. That's right. We still see that in the data.
We're still seeing the data that people are still being arrested, at similar rates as they were before it was made legal in certain states.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just from your perspective, I mean, what's been some of your greatest challenges in the industry?
Wow. Having to sue the city for a fair process was an extraordinary challenge. Not having any money and having to go up against one of the largest municipalities in the world, just for a fair shake in a process that was designed to be like, bringing fairness to a society that's been unfair to a segment of people.
Well, that's what they claimed it was designed.
That's what they
let's,
claim is.
let's get the difference between what's claimed and what's true. But yeah, you're right.
So that was the first challenge, just getting in position to receive a license. I grew up in Los Angeles. The city of LA, it was giving out these licenses for cannabis dispensaries. I've been smoking weed, sharing weed with my friends and family for decades. And now, it was really important to me that I be able to have that business in my community, not an outsider come in my community and be able to own this type of business while I have to work there or not even be able to work there. Uh, and so getting in position to get the license was the first great challenge. Then once getting the license, getting it capitalized, I've had to raise over $1.2 million to get to the point of opening my doors. And then after raising the money, it was dealing with the city again, with building and safety on the build out of my dispensary. And that took me close to 2.5 years going back and forth, just remodeling my building and getting permits and inspections uh, to get it up to code or get them to agree that it was up to code. So that long period of going back and forth, I had to pay rent that whole time on a building. Uh, and so those expenses and just managing that and keeping my project on budget, then having to raise more capital to finish it because of the amount of time it was taking. It's extremely hard to raise capital as a Black entrepreneur. Uh, Extremely hard because everybody with money, whether they're Black or not, they know the extra levels of challenges that you're going to face as a business person, and it's hard for them to bring themselves to break bread. And so
Well, now, how about the organization that you formed? Is there any chance that organization may end up becoming a funding source, or will you raise money to try to do that?
well, when our members become operational and our businesses begin making revenue, then we can reinvest in our organization and association. But that's the challenge: is we got to get to the point where we're operating, so that we can invest in ourselves because we don't really have a huge pool of our own capital. And you know the capital's not pouring in from outside.
Right. Well, tell me a little bit about what kind of products do you offer at Cadre?
Yeah, so we offer cannabis products as well as apparel. So this is one of our new Cadre hoodies, but we have a whole line of really nice apparel designed by our creative director, Randy Morales. Shout out to Randy, Creative Vice. And then our cannabis products, we offer 5 gram bags instead of 3.5 ACE, which is traditional in the market. We're offering really great value. We have top shelf indoor flower, and our 5 grams are priced around the same as a lot of other brands' eighths, 3.5 grams. So we're giving an extra 1.5 grams for the same price. And, people are saying our flower is really it.
Fire, right?
Once they try it, they're coming back for more. And so,
Well, why don't you real
we
quick while you're saying that? Why don't you throw up some digits and stuff? If people come to LA, can they come out since it's rec? They can come out and purchase something. So where would they go, and how do they get more information about what you're doing?
Yeah, so we're available in 7 stores around Los Angeles right now. Just our limited release. We've been out for 2 months now. We launched 2 months ago, and we've sold out 3 times in all those locations in the last 2 months. So that's the kind of traction we have. That's the kind of feedback we're getting from consumers.
And
Our five.
to find those locations, is there a website that people can go to?
Yeah, they can go to our website, thecadre.com, and that has all our different locations where we're available on there, as well as Weed Maps. You can just go on Weed Maps and type in the Cadre, and you'll find all the prices and locations where we're available. Our 5 grams typically go for between $40 and $45, depending on which retailer you go to. And at my store, we have a buy one get one deal going on them right now. So that's 10 grams for $45.
That's pretty good. And so you deal mostly in flower? Do you do edibles? Do you do vapes? Do you do concentrates? Do you do
Yeah.
tinctures?
So our offering right now is the 5 grams of flour. We also have a 1 gram single pre roll, which we have in an infused version and a non-infused version. We also have our greenhouse line, which we have like a lower price. It's actually $22 for 5 grams in our greenhouse line of flour versus our indoor line. And then we do have a vape pen in partnership with the company called Dom Pen. They've been around since the beginning of the recreational market and before then. And so we collabed with them on a really nice disposable 1/2 gram vape pen, which we got a couple flavors of.
And that's out in several different locations?
That's right. That's right. It's in all 7 locations that we're in around LA. And the locations we're in around LA are all social equity retailers as well, right? So
Right.
uh, we started all Black owned social equity retailers was where we initially launched. Gorilla RX on Crenshaw, Space Flight on Jefferson and La Cienega, 64 and Hope on La Cienega and Cadillac. And then my store, Off the Charts, powered by Cadre in South LA, and a few others. Another Off the Charts, which is in Sherman Oaks, which is also Black owned by another social equity entrepreneur there. So these are the stores that we launched in. Now, next week, we're getting ready to launch in all the Off the Charts locations around the state. So we'll be in Sacramento, we'll be in San Francisco, we'll be in San Diego, we'll be all over the state. And we have some more big announcements coming about some other dispensary chains and delivery platforms that will be available on
Well,
very soon.
throw out the digits of where people can go to get that kind of information. If they're listening in right now, so if they want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
keep track.
Our website, thecadre.com. You can get a lot of information, as well as our Instagram at Join the Cadre.
Okay, and what's next? What do you have next? What do you got coming down the pipe?
Yeah, well, next we're working on really just meeting our customers and bringing in new people into the cadre really. So we're going to be going around to all the different locations that our products available in, throwing events, popping up, doing customer appreciation days. We also have some events coming at our dispensary. Yeah, just follow our Instagram at Join the Cadre to keep up with everything we're doing. But we pop up at a lot of other people's events as well. We just popped up at the second anniversary of 64 and Hope on La Cienega. We were part of Black on the Block a month ago. We were part of the Leimert Park Juneteenth Festival a few months back. So we do a lot of cultural things as well. And we're really tying cannabis and culture and community together in a really authentic way.
That's great, my friend. Well, I wish you well. I know Cadre is kicking, so when I get out to LA, I'm gonna try to come by and catch some.
Come try some, and thank you, Montel. You're really a pioneer. You're really a legend. I grew up watching you on television, and to be here with you today, and I know how much of a advocate you've been for legalization of cannabis for many years now. And so thank you for all the
22
work.
almost, man. Yeah, so thank you. Yes, sir. I really
Yes,
appreciate that, my brother. At some point in time, we're going to talk about it. I have a brand. My brand is now in Mass, and I'm getting ready to go into Georgia, believe it or not.
Wow.
And so,
Yeah,
yeah,
exciting.
and Georgia's a very interesting state because Georgia, you can't smoke or vape. So it's got
But
to be all kinds of other delivery systems.
uh,
And Georgia's the first state in the country where we'll be able to sell cannabis products in independent pharmacies along with dispensaries. So there are
wow.
dispensaries and also independent pharmacies that can carry our products. And that hopefully will be on shelves there really soon. So I'd love to be able to come out there and figure out a way to get into the LA market.
Yes, would love to have you. Would love to get your products in my store soon. So let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it for sure, brother. You be well, you stay well, keep doing what you're doing. Real proud of you and making sure that, everybody gets a fair shake. And that's what it's all about. And when you're ready to do some national lobbying, reach out, man, because that's where I think I can probably help you open up some of those doors that haven't been open so far.
Yeah, we're ready. We've been trying to build a track record here in California so we can show the best practices that should be adopted across the country. So I'll be reaching out soon. I
There
appreciate
you
you,
go,
man.
my friend, for sure. You stay well, take care, and thank you so much for being a part of Let's Be Blunt. And thank you for tuning in today to Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Thanks for joining me on Let's Be Blunt with Montel. Please make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell to be notified when new episodes post each week. We'd love to hear your feedback also, so please send us your comments.